Cemetery Gates podcast featuring Xander King and Android Virus.
Welcome back to the Cemetery Gates podcast. It is me, it is I, the Android Virus, joined by my illustrious co-host, Mr. Xander Kane. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Glad to be back and mixing it up this week. Something a little different, I guess.
Right? Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Yeah, so the first movie I picked was basically it was a bunch of collection of short films, I guess.
Well,
kind of.
It was like an it was like an ABC's Death type of deal where each little quip, each little story was like anywhere from fucking 2 minutes to 10 minutes.
Yeah, so wasn't really what I felt like reviewing.
Yeah, it would have been a hard review on that one.
Yeah, and then the second movie I picked, well, it was a bit of a stinker. So I said, hey, let's just do the one movie and fucking do something different. And that's why we're here. And today we're going to talk about some Predator shit.
Yeah, it grew from there, right?
Yeah.
So my pick was like, look, I love me a creature feature. I would have to say that creature features are my second favorite in the horror subgenre. I love my slashers, of course. Those are my number ones. I love slashers, but I love me a goddamn creature feature. And for all intents and purposes, Predator movies are creature features. Let's cut to the chase.
Yeah, and it's become big budget alien creature features.
For sure.
Some are more horror than others.
Right.
Some are more action than others. And some of them are just damn fun.
And some are more sci-fi than others.
Yeah.
Kind of ish, I guess you could say. But I really like how the universe got started, right? And the whole franchise. So, we're gonna break the films down the best that we can in our order, or I don't even know if we're gonna have the same order. I'll break them down in my order, you break them down in yours. But the background of the Predator films was it was John McTiernan's first studio film as a director, and he did all kinds of stuff after this, but he's most famously known for Die Hard, and the studio wanted something like this, some type of movie like this, so they hired the infamous Shane Black, who has done everything from Predator, Lethal Weapon, freaking.
Was he in 48 Hours as well? I can't remember.
He might have that. I mean, he did.
He was in that era of like in everything.
Yeah, I mean, he's written Lethal Weapon, Monster Squad, The Last Boy Scout, Last Action Hero, Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah.
So many movies, man. I mean, Iron Man 3. I mean, he ain't he's not new into this, but yeah, he wrote the original, and they wrote it for they wanted Arnold. They wanted an Arnold movie, and those big bodybuilder guys, right?
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And the original, I mean, again, we're giving some background, but it's because the movie grew out of like the legend of the Predator grew out of a big mistake. They originally casted a young Jean-Claude Van Damme as the original creature, and there's been some behind the scenes things that had come out, and he looks like a mantis.
Yeah,
really.
It's too short to play the role.
Yeah, not only that, he literally looked like a fucking praying mantis.
Yeah. Well, it's because what is Jean-Claude Van Damme? He's like 5'10" or 5'9",
right?
He's not very big, so
Right.
look, compared to what we see now, all the predators are like fucking 7 feet tall. Like, so.
Yeah, and so like I think they started filming it and doing test shots. They're like, God damn it, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
So kudos to the R.I.P. deceased Stan Winston, who got a call, and they're just like, bro, we need
Help.
something
Help.
and help. And he I think he literally sketched it on an airplane on the way to a pre-production meeting, and
Yeah,
they're just
but
like, yeah.
talk about an ultimate delivery of product from Stan Winston. Just goes to show like how fucking great that guy was to be able to take a fucking phone call at the last minute and doodle on the fucking plane the way there and be like, "Up, here we go." And you're like, "Holy fuck. This is what you came up with."
Right. And it was really cool because it was really like a hodgepodge of people coming together. And what I mean by that is it was just a bunch of artists, visual effects artists and sound effects artists, and they come out, and with the way Stan drew it, they're like, hey man, that guy would click like a horseshoe crab. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so that clicking that you hear of the predator, that's his teeth clicking together.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool, and a lot of people don't know that the person who came up with that click was Peter Cullen, who is the famous Optimus Prime voice.
Oh, I don't think I realized that actually.
Yeah, really, 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 really cool. And they came back around and said, "Hey, let's give him some thermal vision and all kinds of cool shit," right? So fast forward, to everything that they did. They did a lot of really cool animation in the first movie, rotoscoping. I mean, everybody just came together um, in this film, which is really fucking cool to make the first one. And it all started off with the fucked up mistake.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of the background of the Predator and how it got started and how it got created, and it just really blew up from there. So, I don't know, man. You wanna kind of talk about the series? How do you rank the films? I mean,
Uh yeah,
technically,
honestly, we could just like shoot down the line and talk about them individually from top to bottom. So
for sure.
that's fine by me. Some of them I remember way like I don't remember. I'll be completely honest. The Alien vs Predator Requiem. I don't remember pretty much anything about that.
Ooh,
I
ah,
remember it being really dark.
yeah, hard to
Like
see.
that's like all I really remembered. I was like, what the fuck is this dark? That's all I remember. But anyways, we'll get there.
Yeah, yeah, which is what we will get there. So yeah, let's get there. Let's start with Predator 1. Predator released in summer of 1987. Obviously guaranteed to be a huge hit. Arnold was red hot at the time, right?
Yeah.
Coming
So
off of
Jesse Ventura was still big in WWF at the time.
yeah,
So
and
he
then
was a
you
big wrestler, and you got obviously Arnold.
Carl Weathers, Creed
Hmm.
himself, and some other actors that I went on to do some other things. A lot of guys I didn't recognize, but so yeah, I mean, it, it was actually basically it starts off like you're kind of your feature creature, and spacecraft flies near Earth and releases its object into the atmosphere, and then later the Central American jungle with a bunch of Army special ops guys,
Yeah.
and led by Mr. Schwarzenegger himself, and
And Shane Black as well is in there.
yeah, he is, and which is really funny because it's like you get the infamous like Dylan, you son of a bitch, and then you get the the explosion where they clap hands,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you get all that. Get a lot of great one-liners. I mean, this movie came out at the perfect time in 1987. Impressionable. Fucking the United States was huge on Be in America.
Yeah, there was a lot of at that time. There was a lot of like militarized movies where there's like scenarios where these armed forces people go out in the middle of nowhere and you know have a mission they have to complete, and this kind of fell like in that era of films where we got a ton of movies like that. You got to think about like all the shitty Chuck Norris movies that came out like around that time, and there was a good like I don't know, close to 10 years.
Rambos.
Yeah, there was a good close to 10 years where movies like that were being made. They all had like this big macho military mindset, and they go in other countries and fuck shit up. So, and
Yeah.
this fit the bill. Obviously, this was right at the heyday.
Yeah, it really starts out as an awesome action film, and they just demolish these jungle dudes.
Yeah.
Fuck them up. I mean, they're insurgents or whatever, but I mean, they really fuck these guys up, and it's great action, man. Great fucking
Yeah,
action.
and they pit. I love how they pit like these. The guys in the first one. They're like, most of them are pretty muscular, tough guys. Like you got Schwarzenegger and all those other guys. Ventura is a big guy. Carl Weathers is in great shape. So you have all these fucking tough dudes that can't
Bill,
fucking handle the Predator. You're like, fuck,
yeah,
this Predator is strong as fuck, and that's something that's established at the very beginning of the series. Is Predator is always almost feels unkillable. Like every
right.
time Predator comes into the scene in every single one of these movies, he fucking destroys everything in an elaborate fucking manner. And you're like, God
Yeah,
damn, how the fuck are you gonna kill this guy? How are you gonna kill this thing?
which is why I'm gonna love to round this out with Prey, because I got some fun. I don't know. I got some commentary on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. In this movie, you got a big tough guy. You got Sonny Landham is Billy. He's the Native American in it. You got um, Mac. He was man, what's his fucking damn? Why am I forgetting his name? But anyways, Mac. He's like another big ass dude in the movie. Lot of guys, right? You got Mac, Dylan, all these great names, right? And it's just your typical like hodgepodge of GI Joe type of
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Bill Duke is Mac.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Bill Duke is Mech, and he's great. He's great.
Yeah, and he's also been in a million things. He plays a cop. He gets typecasted as a cop a lot of the time or something like that.
Yeah,
But he's a great actor.
he's great. And so a lot of these guys are hardened, vets. These guys are special ops dudes. They're take no shit. And I think the first death. I mean, obviously, other than all the guys getting killed, they eventually, they find some bodies hanging that are skinned. So right away, I saw this movie when I was about 10, and pretty shocking to me as a 10-year-old, because even that year, fucking RoboCop came out, and man, what a summer of movies. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
of
Like,
ultra violent movies that
yeah, dude.
somehow made it to the big screen.
Yeah, like RoboCop, Predator just fucking melted my mind to a next level. But yeah, so in this movie, they kind of just set up as something's watching them from the jungle, but it's an alien because the way he looks at them, it's not like a human. It's the
Yeah.
infrared stuff, which is really cool. And I gotta say, shocked beyond belief when you kill one of the baddest motherfuckers right away in this movie. Jesse Ventura just gets his fucking whole chest blown out.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck? Just like, oh, none of these guys are safe.
Yeah. So which one's the smartest one?
Yeah, which one's the smartest one? And they know they're being hunted. They're not dumb. These
Yeah,
guys
they,
are
they
not
figured
dumb.
out real quick, and they figured out that this is a tall order.
Right, right. And they're Billy's like, hey, the native, this is not a human. And everybody's like,
We're on their grounds.
yeah, this guy's all shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. A lot of the guys. And you got the infighting, the who can trust who and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Um, they eventually capture a gorilla in the movie. Her name, not a real gorilla, but she's an insurgent. Anna, she kind of hangs out with them, and poor actress walks around the movie in the freaking Mexican jungle tied up the whole time. But you know,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but as the movie goes, they start getting targeted and taken off one by one, um, which is crazy. Um, Mac gets his fucking head blown off. Carl Weathers dies in an amazing fashion and this is like, I was very shocked because you never saw really this type of ultra violence other than like in a hardcore slasher, like,
Yeah.
and you get Carl Weathers' arm gets completely cut off and is just laying there in the fucking leaves and still firing his severed arm, and then the predator just comes and lifts him up in the air with his spikes, and he just turns him around and his severed arm it's like, what? That can't happen. But yeah, I mean, and it gets taken off. Everybody gets taken out one by one, and you're figuring out this creature collects trophies, and that's how we start the I don't know, the Legend of the Predator, I guess.
That's right. That spawned a bunch of movies, a bunch of comics, a bunch of video games, a bunch of figures. I mean, yeah,
Right.
it's the one that started it all. So
it was really cool, man, because it did start it off, and I feel like that, they were kind of not making it up as they went along, meaning it didn't come out in a bad way, but they're like, hey, how about we do this? How about we do that? At the end of the movie, he's copying Billy's laugh. So they have this legend built up, and Schwarzenegger, does what Schwarzenegger does at the end and kind of outsmarts it a little bit, but not. And we find out, yeah, it's Predator. It's Predator, and then these guys are the prey, and he's after he's after the alpha,
absolutely gonna get him.
Yeah.
Or is he?
Yeah. And the coolest part is he's got a nuke in his arm. I was like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? So that was really cool, man. But yeah. And then fast forward, what, 3 years to 1990.
Predator 2.
That's right, man. Predator 2.
They add Gary Busey and Danny Glover to the mix.
Oh, who else do we? But not just them.
No, there's a shit ton more.
Maria Conchita Alonso, Bill Paxton, man. They really pulled out the goddamn fucking stops in this one.
So honestly, like I have a ton of fond memories about this one too, because this was one of the first like VHS tapes that I rented back in the day. And so if I, forgive me, it's been quite some time, but like they basically take Predator to like, the Los Angeles, is it? Yeah, it's Los Angeles.
Right.
So the Predator gets in Los Angeles, and there's like a heat wave going on and all this other turf wars with all these gangs and shit, and they kind of like intertwine the fucking Predator going through and like destroying, some of these like some of these gang members and all this other shit.
Yeah, but let's not to mention they did what I really liked about this though, which was just a very small nuance, was although the film was made in 1990 and released in 1990, there's a subtle, it's not even subtle, but it's only mentioned once that it's 1997.
Yeah, because it's the heat wave of '97 or something like that. You see it on the news or something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Or radio or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like the heat wave of '97. It's like, okay, so it's somewhat futuristic,
but
I don't
not
know.
Too far.
Yeah, not too far ahead.
Yeah, and also we get a fucking great callback to this movie later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I just remember this one it's super fun. And a lot of people were apprehensive about taking it, oh, now it's going to come into the city. So I think a lot of people were disappointed. But I thought the second one delivered. I was still excited to watch it. I still rewatch it. I own a copy of it on VHS still.
Oh, this movie is so rewatchable.
Yeah. And that there's also... So it does have some good one-liners in it, but it's not anything to the level of like the shit like Ventura and Arnold were saying in the first one. But they did try to like bring some of that in from time to time. Some of it was delivered by some of like the gang members saying dumb shit, but it did have some moments of humor, but not quite as.
I just love it. This one was just a tad bit more sleazy than the first one.
Yeah, because it doesn't. So like it's a heat wave. So like everybody's fucking sweaty in the movie. Everybody looks hot as fuck. It looks like
miserable.
It's like did Toby Hooper direct this and take his Texas Chainsaw Massacre style to the Predator world? Because like literally, Danny Glover and fucking Gary Busey are just like basically wearing a wet blanket the whole time. It's so
Sweating.
gross.
Yeah, just sweating, man. Yeah, then you have all the gang members, which is good. There's a gang war going on, which is really funny, like you said. God damn. I do got to give a shout out to Kevin Peter Hall, who plays the original Predator and returns to play this Predator. Obviously, he's a different Predator, because they're an alien race. And Kevin Peter Hall does make a cameo as the helicopter pilot in the first one too.
Yeah.
But
and then I can't remember if Stan who did the Predator in this one, if it was the same people. Did they did Predator 2 or not? I'm not.
Yeah, it would have been Stan Winston, I believe. Same effects. I'm pretty sure it was Stan Winston. But I think so. I'm not sure. But all I know is Harrigan Hopkins had originally envisioned Patrick Swayze in it and returning with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to be a cop, and Patrick Swayze was going to be, and they even met up with Steven Seagal for potentially having this role.
Yeah, it is Stan Winston's studio did do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, man, this one 1990, it's Gary Busey, where they all deliver.
Yeah.
We learn more about the Predator, which is really cool because we learn more that he is, there's a part in the movie where he's going to kill the chick cop, and he finds that there's a baby in her stomach, and he leaves her alone. So there's a weird code that they go by.
Yeah, because it kind of happens there's a scene in The Predator from 2018 where the woman is left alone and she's not pregnant, but the Predator leaves her.
Yeah.
That doesn't kill her. So there's something innately in them, I guess.
Well, yeah, they have a weird code about them. And in this movie in particular, the reason why I like part 2 is it kind of plays out like this slasher serial killer type of thing, because all of his homies are getting taken out.
Yeah.
And he's like hunting, but it's so weird, and it's more of a he's playing more of a mind fuck with them than anything, I think, in this movie. A lot of the times. I mean, yeah, he's taken out all the alphas, but like it's just so weird because it's set in the city.
Yeah.
And everybody's and he and Danny Glover's obviously the top cop, but like all of his buddies and lieutenants and everybody getting taken out before him, and it's like he's like, man, we got a killer. What the fuck is going on? And that's what I really like about this movie. And I do like Morton Downey Jr. showing up, trying to film Hardcore. That was the name of the show. It was like Hard Copy, but Hardcore.
Yeah.
And
I totally forgot about that.
It had like a weird RoboCop type of feel to it, in a sense. I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely still had its like cast of characters of like, because like the voodoo high priestess. From, like, there's all these like just kind of not oddball characters, but just like what
King Willie. I remember that.
Yeah, which that was great. The guy, I think it was the Jamaican gang.
Yeah, he is not a man following you or something.
Yeah.
This is but from another world.
Nice.
Really like that one, man. It's good. I mean, and again, it's kind of like the same actiony, but I don't want to see Danny Glover's like a bumbling fool, but like he's not. He's like, fuck, I hate heights. You know what I mean? Like throughout the whole fucking hate
he's still
heights.
part Lethal Weapon in this.
He is.
He's still part. Yeah.
A lot of mumbling to himself.
Yeah.
Goddamn birds. I hate heights. A lot of the whisper down that one.
Yeah.
Definitely not a departure from Schwarzenegger's Dutch, who is just fearless, right?
Yeah.
But we find, at the end of the movie, we get some really cool things. He finally hunts the predator down, and they hunt. He's going after him. But let's not forget that the CIA or the FBI or whoever they are or they're called A Wolf or whatever. O Wolf. They're led by Peter Keyes, who is performed by the awesome Gary Busey. They want to capture it for study.
Yeah.
Oh, but the predator has other plans.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, he that's a great scene, man, by the way.
Yeah. And they do set up in this one that Predator's been around for a long time. Because there's a scene where the Predator gives Danny Glover a gun, and it has a date on it. I can't remember the date on it, but it's like fucking 200 years ago or something.
In 1857.
Yeah, whatever it
Something
was.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was way back in the day, but like you're like, wait, what?
Well, I think it's Prey, because Prey, the last one in the franchise, does kind of have a callback to that one, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah, they
For
have
sure.
a call back to that. So you're like, wait, what?
Yeah,
but I don't remember exactly like
the year.
I don't remember the year, and I don't remember the circumstances on like why exactly the Predator gave Danny Glover the gun.
Because Danny Glover's like him and the Predator get into a good scrum on the roof, and he cuts the Predator's fucking hand off. And the Predator at this point just kind of wanted to get away, and Danny Glover finds himself in the ship because it's underneath the city, below an elevator shaft or whatever. And then that's when he kind of fights the Predator. Or they're already injured Predator 1-on-1, and he fucking kills it stabs him in the chest with like a disc. Because you get a lot of more cooler weapons in this one than the first one. First one had amazing weapons. I mean, the first one you basically had like
military weapons.
Yeah, well, he had his thing on his shoulder.
Yeah.
In the first one, right? This one, he had some badass fucking weapons, right? He had like a spear, he had a net. They really went all out there with his fucking trinkets on this one, which is really fucking cool.
Yeah, which becomes a thing throughout the rest of the series, like all the little gadgets the Predator has.
Yeah, and we do get and remember at the end of this one, we do get where the Predator just kind of where Danny Glover makes it down into that ship, and we get to see an alien skull.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's the Easter egg for
the
aliens.
Yeah, we get to see
the
that
xenomorph skull.
the xenomorph skull, and then at the end, after he kills the Predator, fucking like 6 more show up that were cloaked, and he's like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
He's all, "Well, who's next?"
Yeah. Because in the first one, it's just the one Predator. Like you don't see him. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And then this one, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, we're gonna get way more Predator movies, and then you have a nice long gap before we see another Predator movie.
Right. And look, we're not gonna get into Alien versus Predator and Alien versus Predator Requiem, but those were the next ones in the series, and I just was not a big fan of those.
I liked parts of Alien vs. Predator, and I thought it was entertaining. I didn't like how it ending. I thought the ending was kind of silly. And then I couldn't even see Alien vs. Predator Requiem because it was so dark. So
right. I mean, and a lot of those were like kind of like, especially Requiem. It was like callbacks to callback. There was a callback to Aliens, and it was a callback to Predator 1 because there was a lot of get in the chopper. There was a lot of like all drive, just lines that were from the Alien movies and Predator movies. It was almost like a nostalgia piece, but but also kind of novelty. I didn't really, and there were really good kills in a lot of those movies. Don't get me wrong, and you get the introduction of like, especially in Requiem, the alien predator, right, and all those things. But I will say, like, Alien versus Predator Requiem, even though you can't see it, they did do a hard R on that one.
Yeah, they did.
And it's pretty fucked up. But yeah, let's fast forward. That has nothing to do with those.
Yeah, I would say if you're interested on Alien versus Predator, to like go hit up the comics.
Right. And the comics and the really cool things is like they really delve deeply into whether or not like how they become like a king predator or a super hunter or whatever, they drop them off on fucked up planets for like a year and have them survive.
Yeah.
Like it really dives deep into like you could be the king of the predators or whatever. So there's some really cool things that they made up along the way in the comics. Started off at Dark Horse, right? Dark Horse
Yeah, it
Comics.
was a Dark Horse, and I think it went to Image after that. Or no, it went to Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah. It went to Marvel. And there's also a shitload of books too. So like I've read some of the books and I've read a good bit of the comics, and they're far superior to me than Alien vs Predator movies. So
Sure.
I'd say go there.
Yeah. So let's fast forward to Predators 2010 or Predator 3,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
And another and basically and between now and then poor um Peter Michael Hall passed away. Unfortunately, the guy who played the Predator just gave him his moves. So everything that you see how the Predator acts and how the Predator is, he gave him his moves. He brought. I just want to give a shout out to the original actor because it's
Yeah.
kind of like how what what's it Kane Hodder did for Jason.
Right.
It
Well, like
just gave it character.
three different dudes played the Predator on this, so
Right, they
three
did.
different
And
versions. But like Derek Mears being the main one, which if you're listening to this podcast, you know who Derek Mears is.
fucking love that guy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's the main one, and then two other guys, Kerry Jones and Brian Still also played him. So
Yeah, the because there's a few Predators in this movie, but yeah, I love Derek Mears. He's his version of Jason Voorhees
yeah,
is
and
probably
this
my first or second, but
this has a great cast really when you look at
oof.
it. Adrian Brody, Lawrence Fishburne, Topher Grace, Walt Goggins, Danny Trejo. It's a pretty damn good cast.
Yeah, they just somehow these Predator movies somehow like can bring the casts together, can't they?
Yeah,
But did you hear my wife coughing in the background?
I did.
Too big of a hit of a joint. She's blowing it out the window. She's enjoying her Predator talk, I think.
Oh, you're welcome, Ray.
Yes. Produced by Robert Rodriguez, but not
Directed.
directed by him. That was directed by Nimrod and Tal.
Hotel. Yeah,
But yeah, man, this one's a little bit different.
it is. They
Yeah.
go for the They kind of go. They flip. Well, we can carry on, but yeah, I don't. Shit, sorry. My words are being jammed in my mouth right now.
That's okay. So, yeah, they kind of flipped the script on this one where you
At least at the end.
yeah, but not just that, but like you get all these cast of characters, right, that are kind of like Billy badasses and super proficient killers, and they are all kind of in this unidentified jungle, and they soon realize they are not on planet Earth anymore.
Yeah, they're on the hunting grounds.
Yeah, and they do soon come to realize that they are fucking being hunted, and they're actively learning for a way to fucking get back to Earth, and that's what kind of sparks it off, and the movie itself is really cool because you have all these like people from across you have a cartel guy, you have a Spetsnaz guy from Russia, you have
Yes, is he the sniper?
an IDF. No, he's just a soldier.
Okay.
You have an IDF. The girl is the sniper,
Okay,
and then you have that man. That guy's been in a million things, but he's an officer from Africa, and then you have a fucking death row inmate, which is weird. And then you got a Yakuza member, and then you got a weird doctor played by fucking Topher Grace.
Yeah, and Walt Goggins is the
Death row guy, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, they kind of go through there. They're finding weird cages. They're finding traps. They're finding all kinds of shit. They find a dead Green Beret. So they realize, yeah, we're not on Earth and we are being hunted. And much like the other ones, fucking getting picked off one by one.
Yeah, it's like it's not like that's what we're saying. Like that's why it's kind of hard for me to put words together because really the only big difference in this one is the fact that they're on the hunting grounds, but everything else is still, to me, still feels like a Predator movie, right? Everybody's getting picked off. They have these kind of tough characters. You know, it's the very similar formula that we're used to and expect in a Predator film. And also, there's plenty of great deaths in it as well. A little more gadgets and toys. The Predator looks a little different in this one than the last time we saw him in a traditional Predator film.
Right. This is where we're introduced, and I'm going to give a call back to Prey, which I do have a little complaint about that, but and I had some complaints about this. Well, you got the Derek Mears Predator who is tied up and he's being captured by the other Predators. So there's some kind of weird inner tribal thing going on with the Predators. They don't really explain, but he looks different than the other ones because the other ones have like almost fish eyes, on the side of their head. They look a little bit different than the traditional Predator that we're used to seeing, like in all the other Predator movies. And it kind of alludes to the fact that they're just different type of tribes of predators, and they do look a little bit different.
Right.
And that's what I liked about that. I mean, at first when I saw the pictures, I was like, man, I'm not sure how I like about how that. And this is funny, man, because this really takes me back to the KR days, because I remember finding those pictures and throwing them in the fucking in the message boards, getting all excited. Here's the first pictures of the Predator back in 2010, but yeah, and then you find that they have really cool new gadgets. They have like a weird falcon bird, and they got these dogs that are hunting for them, these predator looking dog things. And then you get a call back to Predator 1 where the chick was like, hey man, there's a teacher, there's a story of a creature that was killed by a special operations team in 1987 Guatemala. And then they kind of talk about Dutch a little bit, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, then they find, who do they find eventually in the movie? They find Lawrence Fishburne. He's been on the fucking
Larry.
Yeah. He's a US cavalry soldier, and he survived on that planet for 10 seasons, as he said, by scavenging and hiding, and he's hunted them. And I don't know. And he explains to them that there's a blood feud going on between the predators, and then
that's his whole character's point, is to kind of carry the story through on what the hell's going on there. Because without him in the movie explaining all this stuff, you're just like, you don't get any like history of what they're trying to do with like the predator kind of mythos in this that differs from what we've seen before.
Right. What and it's pretty cool because like you do get like these weird little, like, every character starts to have their own story, even though they have their backstory. They all kind of start to get their own story, and it all kind of culminates together, which is really cool. But I think one of the coolest, because you have more predators in here that can. You don't necessarily have to have the fight with the big badass at the end, right? Like, you get a really cool scene where Hanzo, the Yakuza guy, he decides to duel the Predator with his katana, and
which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's just like a throwback. Isn't it like a throwback to like a manga, like just the way the blood just hits the tip of the fucking bushes and shit, dude. It's so cool. And yeah, that's sweet because they kill each other. Cool. But yeah, I mean, and a lot of people like, man, more of that, right? More of Predator in weird situations,
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, this movie just kind of it goes all over the place. I mean, the nerdy guy ends up being a serial killer, and people get killed off, and obviously you get the two badasses at the end, the final girl and the final guy. And Royce, which Adrian Brody got really huge for this movie, ends up battling him at the end, and as they leave, or or as they're resting, they don't get to leave the planet, but then you see more parachutes falling to the ground with cages. So they're still hunting. It's not really like this cool ending where they escape the planet. It's like, well, they're kind of fucked. There you have it.
Oops.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna let you take over on
Oh yeah, I can totally do this because I just watched it because I
The
hadn't seen it.
Predator, because look, I watched it, and when I watched it, I was kind of bugged by it. But I'm gonna let you take over on fast forward 8 years, and we get another The Predator.
Another Predator, 2018. This one directed by Shane Black and written by Fred Decker and Shane Black. 2018. So, I thought it was kind of funny because we got Predators, which is felt more like a truer sequel to the original Predator. And then we get The Predator, which kind of feels like Predator 2 because, the Predator like ship crash lands somewhere here in the US. And then of course the army gets attacked by the Predators or whatever. And the guy that one of the main guys who's I guess like the army ranger, he's a sniper, shocker. There's always a sniper, right?
Always.
So like so when they get kind of it all kind of wraps up a little bit, he takes the helmet and the wrist like gauntlet thing from the Predator and ships it to his son because he wants to make sure that they don't try to cover this up. And so the whole movie is him trying to get back to his son, but he gets arrested and gets put in a bus full of other criminals and killers. With what's the one guy in there that Thomas Jane has like a Tourette syndrome in it, which I thought was just weird and kind of pointless. Then you also got Olivia Munn and Sterling K. Brown. So there's some people in here that you recognize, but they're all like Olivia Munn's a doctor, not a criminal like the rest of them. But the criminal's bus gets overturned, and they're all trying to get away because the Predator comes in. Has a pretty badass scene with the Predator that comes in there and kind of wipes all them out after they take over the bus.
Isn't he a super predator, or isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a super predator. Later, you get the super predator, but initially they just break out of the. It's a great scene actually, where they kind of break out of the bus. But then you see these fucking cops like, all right, how fucking stupid are you? These guys are faking a fight. So you come back there, they take all their guns miraculously, and they steal the bus and go away. And they're, like I said, trying to get back up to not Thomas Jane, the sniper guy's son. And then Olivia Munn gets caught up with them, and then they're all in this together as they're trying to find the guy's son. But the Predator is actually tracking the equipment, which was kind of interesting, which I don't recall that in any other movie. Like they had the helmet and the gauntlet, and the Predator was just like following wherever that is, and the little boy has it, which is great. There's some great scenes with the little boy because he like wears it as his Halloween costume.
Right.
And then he goes like trick-or-treating, which I thought was funny. And some guy like gives him shit, and the kid turns around and it blows the whole fucking dude into pieces and the whole goddamn building. And then like, as they're driving around, they hammer the brakes in the car because they're like, oh, found it. He's back there. And so, yeah, they just chase him through the school, and there's some terrible lines that is in there. There's a throwback to get to the chopper, but the guy's talking about bikes. He's like, get to the choppers. And you're like, okay, that was lame. But it was a little callback. And then it turns into kind of a Michael Bay movie the further it goes on. Like it kind of feels like James Bond-ish. Like they wind up like getting on top. Toward the end of the movie, they wind up getting on top of the fucking spacecraft. And they have to like the sniper guy has to like swoop in because his son is stuck inside the thing, and it's just it just turns into a crazy sci-fi action flick. And then like Olivia Munn shooting the fucking spaceship from ground as it's like fucking 1,000 feet in the air, and then it takes off and she's on the ground, and somehow she catches back up with the aircraft when it crashes again. But yeah, so you still have all your little things there. They didn't really rely on the kind of infrared as much in this one as they did in the others. Like it wasn't really used. There's a really Oh, never mind. That's not in this one. I take that back. Yeah, so they really kind of got away from that. I don't really know why, which I wish we had more of that. But it just wound up being more of a, to me, I mean, I still enjoyed it, but it was just like a popcorn action flick because this got kind of silly. Like I couldn't really. He's like, okay, like especially when they're like on top of the fucking spacecraft, like really, it's just like batshit crazy. But it was all right. What do you beef with it?
I just, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't in the mood for the Shane Black lethal weapon humor and Predators. I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like there was a lot of comedy relief in this one, more so than others. There's just it was like a slap happy, wacky, zany group of fucking guys that were,
and it's like
Thomas. Yeah,
Keegan Michael Key's in there as well, like little
yeah.
comic relief. Yeah,
And then Thomas Jane, he's got like autism or not autism. He's like you said, Tourette's,
yeah, it's got
um,
Tourette's, and then it's the sniper's son has autism,
autism.
and he's
Yeah,
like he like cracked the code to the like later on in the film he cracks the code to like the glove or not he just knows how to work the equipment
I
somehow.
just
I was
feel
like,
like
what the
it
fuck?
tried to be. I just feel like it tried to be too smart for its own good.
Yeah, and then it
Do you know
got
what I
really
mean?
silly.
Yeah. Then it got super silly, and I mean, there's some funny one-liners in it. Don't get me wrong, and there's some really cool kills. Obviously, we get to see more really cool weapons. To me, it was a big departure in the
Yeah,
series from what I wanted and what I was looking for. And obviously, I'm like, well, we can't rewind the clock all the way back to
right.
1990
But
and
we do.
1987, but
I think we do get a really cool scene at the end of this talking about because there's a whole bunch of stuff talking like with Olivia Munn's a scientist. She's talking about like she's pointing out things that were never mentioned before in like the previous Predator films, and they're like scientific stuff. She talks about like the exoskeleton and this and that, and all these other sciencey things. And toward the end of the movie, they find another. They somehow get another piece from the Predator warship, and the thing comes out, and everybody's like, what the fuck is this thing?" It kind of looks like a gauntlet thing again, and it attaches itself to the fucking scientist and turns him into a full blown predator and pulls up like all these little gadgets and basically has little laser sights on every one in the room because he's got like 10 different like guns or weapons on this thing, and you're like, what the fuck? And then like the I guess it times out or whatever and falls off the scientist, and he's just standing there, and they're all standing there looking at this thing like, what the fuck?
mm,
And that's kind of the end of the movie. You're like, well, no, really, what the fuck?
yeah, yeah, that was strange. Yeah, like it's almost like they're trying to set up for a sequel that never happened.
Exactly. That's it's like, wait, we didn't get it. Well, we got
Yeah,
another Predator film. We didn't get a sequel to Shane Black's film, which a lot of
yeah,
people were really excited about it because he was involved. They're like, oh yes, we're gonna get more, back to the old days. Because a lot of people did not like Predators at all. Uh, which I think was I don't know. I think there's just like with any fandom, sometimes your dislike is merited, and other times it's really not. It's just you being fanboying and
right.
whatnot. So a lot
I,
of
I,
people were excited for this one, but I thought it was entertaining. It didn't make me angry or anything.
yeah, and I'm not quite sure of how I felt about it. In that respect, right? Like, I just felt like, eh, I don't know. It's just so off to me for a Predator movie. But it just turned into this huge hodgepodge popcorn flick, buddy cop, fucking comic relief, and he tried to put too much stuff in there. And I mean, again, I appreciate the angle that he was going for. It just didn't hit with me.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, let's fast forward to so we haven't seen much more and now we get 2022 just came out last week. Um and we get Prey, which is a big deviation obviously from the name. Predator, it's called Prey. And this is our first VOD, video on demand release. Was not released in the theaters.
Yeah. Well, I saw an interview with Dan Trachtenberg, who's the director of this, and he said he was under the impression this was going to theater the whole time.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so he didn't, or at least the whole time as it was being filmed. Like he may have found out later in post production, but as they were filming and it was, in the editing bay and all that, they didn't. They thought it was a theater release. So
Really?
Yeah, which was he didn't, which I'm assuming he was disappointed by, because honestly, this movie I think would hit better in the theater.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Like, I totally do, because it's freaking, it looks awesome, and
Well,
it's
I mean,
shot awesome. The music is great. Like, I don't know, feels like it would be really good in the theater.
and I think traditionally, like, whereas a lot of the previous Predator movies, like, even though like they more than grossed their money back, it just none of them were as big as of a hit as obviously the first one.
Right.
So I get like maybe the hesitancy, but either way, I mean, which is kind of a fuck you to the people who told him that, because this was Hulu's biggest release of all time,
Yeah.
which is amazing. It was good on them. So we follow Prey. Obviously 2022 just came out. It's on the Predator franchise. Um, Dan Trachtenberg, and it was written by Patrick Asen, and it stars, which I fucking love. And it's not for like any weird woke fucking politically correct reasons. I have to preface that, but yeah, they got all native actors, which I fucking love. And Amber Midthunder plays our star, and there's just a lot of really cool actors in it. But it's 1719, so we're taking it back, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, we start off with Naru. She's a Comanche warrior, and she's basically, trying to kind of find her place in the world of 1719 in the Great Plains as a Comanche woman, and she's like much like those Comanches, trained as a healer, and
Hunter.
a hunter, but she wants to become a hunter. But here's the thing:
Yeah.
like, they don't
She
want her
she
to.
yeah, she's training by herself at the
Right,
very beginning of the film. She's by herself.
right.
So from that point on, you kind of realize that, oh, maybe, they don't want her to be that. They want her to be the typical whatever their society believes that she needs to be doing, which I guess is gathering food. I don't know.
Yeah, she's a gatherer, she's a healer, a lot of medicine women, which is I mean, pretty much how it was. But she kind of has a vision. She sees the ship in the sky, and she likens it to a Thunderbird, which is actually the ship. And she's like, I gotta prove it to these guys. You know what I mean? And nobody really believes her. And she decides to kind of go hunting with her brother and the rest of these guys, and they're just like, "What's this woman doing with us? She go home, go home, go home."
Was it
But
Nairu? Is that his brother's name?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and she proves her worth. She's like, "Hey, I can heal this guy." They find they're tracking they call him a lion, but it's a mountain lion.
Yeah.
So tracking a mountain lion who attacked one of their hunters, and she's helping them out. And she's a really cool dog with her, by the way, which he's a huge part of the movie too.
But fun fact: the dog is from Fulton County Animal Shelter, which is the county I live in Georgia.
No way.
Yeah, he was rescued from the shelter here, and he was rescued to try to make into a movie dog. And he was supposed to have a relatively small part in the film, but everyone loved him on set that Dan and the writers wrote in more scenes with the pup. So
Good.
good boy.
Good boy. There you go. Um, yeah, and there's a really cool scene in this movie because obviously it's a predator, right? And he's there, and um, I, I like how they kind of just played the nuance, the subtle nuance of like there's there was a bug crawling on the predator. You can't see him, but they can't see the predator, so it's just crawling on his, because he goes and cloaks himself, and then like I don't know, a little weasel or rabbit grabs it and starts eating it, and then the rattlesnake fucking grabs that, and then all of a sudden you see the spikes go through the rattlesnake's head, and it just gets skinned right away, right then and there. So it's just like predator prey, predator prey, predator
Yeah.
prey. They just flip back and forth, which is really cool. But the girl, she goes and hunt. She's going with these guys to hunt this lion, and she's finding tracks. She's finding weird things. She's like, "Hey guys, there's something fucking out
Something
here,
else is out here.
and it ain't human." Now, call back to Sonny, right, from
Yeah.
Predator One, who is like, "There's something out here, guys," because he's the
Yep.
Native American tracker in the
Yep.
original Predator, and it ain't human. So, call back to Sonny, right? I just got to put that out there, which is really cool. And then yeah, I mean, because he's one of the best. He's kind of one of the favorites from the first one. He's like, fuck these guys, and there's a couple of callbacks to Sonny, like where they later on in the movie they slice the brother's chest open, and that's
Oh yeah.
exactly like what Sonny did to himself to fight the Predator. He sliced his chest open.
Yeah.
Just weird shit. But anyways, yeah, man, her brother gets the cougar, and he gets a title of the war chief, and she's fucking pissed, right?
Right.
Because she thought she did it.
Right. There's a lot of instances in this movie that perpetually there's a lot of scenes where she does, she's doing what she's doing good, right? And then obviously then the men come and bail her out, or bail her out in quote, I guess. Like the men always show up to take the glory or to help her out of a bind, or it's just like you get to watch her as a character kind of grow a little bit because she is making those like small mistakes throughout the movie, but she's getting second chances to kind of prove herself. So it's kind of cool.
That was kind of cool. But then we kind of lead into, which I think is one of the most amazing parts of the movie. She's kind of going through the forest. She's like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna go. There's something out there, and I'm gonna go with my dog. Sorry, and we're gonna hunt whatever's out there because I know what I saw. You know what I mean?" Right? She knows what she's seen in the sky. She knows she's seen the predator, cloaked, whatever the case may be. But you know, it's pretty crazy because she finds a herd of skinned bison, which sucks, because that's what those assholes did back then. They just skinned them for their hide and left everything else, which is completely against any type of hunting rule, especially in the native culture. You use everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything. And these guys just fucking left them, their carcasses to rot, just wanted the skins. So you kind of already set up that the French dudes are the assholes, right? Like the
Right.
white and they're invaders. So you have like that third party.
But
type
guess
of
what
thing.
they have? They have guns.
Oh yeah. But what I like is that one of the best scenes ever, which is amazing, is she tries to get a bear, and then the bear's trying to get her.
Oh,
And
the fucking bear scene is epic.
dude,
That's my
the
favorite part.
bear just chases her, and the bear and the predator, like, dude, what a bear and a predator fight. It's amazing.
Yeah, and then holds a bloody. I love where he's holding the bloody bear, just like dripping on him as his cloaking is going in and out.
Yeah,
You're like,
and like
oh, that's fucking cool.
the blood's like, it's like the old Invisible Man movie, or Hollow Man, when he had like blood on his face and shit or whatever, and
Yeah.
like he's just and the blood's just dripping on him, and his cloaking's going in and out, and the blood's just shaping the outline of his body and the contours of his features and whatnot, which is really cool. But she's just like, holy shit. And so her brother had sent a group of other hunters and Comanches to find her, but this is another brutal scene. The fucking creature ambushes them and kills them, and god damn, it's fucking brutal.
Oh yeah, it's people split in half, head fucking
Dude, you get
smashed.
like so much dismemberment, legs dismembered, arms dismembered. Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of dismemberment in this movie, more so than
some of
what
the others.
than one of the others, which is really cool. And
Yeah,
again, there's no.
the only dismemberment in Predator 2018 is, I think, where the guy jumps into the fucking a guy jumps into like the engine of the plane to make it crash down the Predator spaceship. You're like, what the fuck? And then he gets all sliced up. It's stupid. Anyways, carry on.
Yeah, dumb, right?
Dumb. Yeah, dumb.
Yeah, yeah, it's at this point again kind of a throwback. He doesn't kill her. He doesn't find her as a threat. And he has every opportunity to. And she's the one hunting him.
Oh, yeah. That's the damn it. Sorry to call back again, but this is what I was referring to in Predator 2018. Olivia Munn is in like a decontamination thing, so she's stripped down out of her clothes. So she was basically naked in the shower with like no clothes on and no weapon, and the Predator just walks by her, doesn't kill her, doesn't just leaves her there. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
So this would be the third time in the series that we see this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah. So
I think he might have done it in the first one with the girl who was tied up, but
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. But you know, what's crazy is that she eventually gets caught up with these French dudes, and they're responsible for killing the bison. They cage her. They get her brother as well. One of the guys kind of talks to her a little bit, but then they kind of torture their brother before her, in front of her. And then they leave them as bait, thinking that, hey, the predator's going to come kill these two, but they weren't the bait. Like they were the bait.
that was great. That's the when they're in the field, and the brother's like, "Oh, I got him," and then he's got the little 3 dots and says like, "Nope, they got us."
Yeah, and what a goddamn slaughter that was, right?
Yeah.
And this is kind of like what I really liked about this movie, and you kind of see it in the beginning when he's fighting the bear. You see it when he's fighting the other native guys that went looking for her, and then you see it when he's fighting the French dudes. He seems to be a younger, inexperienced predator.
Right.
Because he does get the shit kicked out of him a lot.
Yeah.
Like, he's not as with it as like he's not a stone cold killer like in the first one, right? Like I mean he is a stone cold killer, but like he's not taking these dudes out with precision. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah.
He's a youngster.
Yeah.
And his and what I like about it is his mask, even his tools, even his weapons are not as advanced as you see like in the later movies. But they still work, right?
Yeah. They're very effective, but you know, you got to remember in this movie they don't, most of it is being fought with spears, you know,
right,
and like axes and shit like that when it's the natives. Only when the French dudes come into, like, guns even come into play, and even then most of them are like little pistols and whatnot, not crazy firepower. When you compare that to what they had in the original Predator, when they have rocket launchers and fucking everything at Predator and couldn't kill it, you're like, how the fuck are these guys going to have a chance?
right. This is true. And so yeah, so they try to fucking, the shit fucking falls backwards on them, and they fucking all die, man. And her and her brother tried to kind of take the creature out and weaken it, but kind of backfires on them a little bit. And her brother's like, get out of here, go. And because she's a medicine woman and knows how to use the medicine and whatnot, she knows some tricks because she's like, hey, they kind of figure out earlier on, because they're good hunters, that, hey, he sees your body heat. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like they figured that out. But yeah, I mean, she tracks him, she kills, she tracks him, she traps him,
Yeah, I think
and
they figured that out in the field actually, when her
yeah,
brother, like, because that's when I think that's when it clicks. Like, oh no, because they weren't moving at all in the grass. Like, no, he found it's heat. So that's the scene where she knew that they were tracking their heat.
yeah, this is true. I I don't want to give too much away about this because you need to watch this. I mean, it kind of ends like you would think any other kind of Predator movie possibly ends, but it definitely redeemed itself from the Predator.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I just, I don't know, man. I watched it last night. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't
And then
know.
if we did, I don't think we mentioned this yet, but she did pick up one of the Frenchman's gun. It's the same placard
Yep.
as the one in Predator 2 that the Predator gives to Danny Glover, which you would have no idea if you didn't if you weren't pretty familiar with Predator 2 or just recently watched it. So that was a fucking epic callback. Like that was great. To call
Yeah,
back to 2 I thought was really cool.
it was. And we got a basketball player, Dane Robert DiLigerio,
Yeah.
and he played the Predator in this one.
Oh, okay.
6'9", big
He's
old
massive. Yeah, he's
big
massive
dude.
Predator.
Okay, so the only complaint I had about this movie, I mean, cinematography was beautiful. It was
It
like a
was
next
great. Yeah.
next level Predator movie. It's great cinematography. I love the acting. I love the fact that they used real natives. I love the fact that it was gory as all get out. The weapons were cool. It gave a different dimension to the Predator. Again, you could tell he was a youngster, in my opinion. That's just my perspective on it because he got his ass kicked a lot. Um, my only complaint was well, uh, I kind of amended my complaint in my head a little bit later on. I love me some practical effects,
Yeah.
and the Predator's face was not practical effects. It
Yeah.
was it was definitely computer generated shit. So
Yeah. I a lot of them though, they don't sometimes you get like a side angle a lot and then they have that shield on, that little like kind of bone looking shield.
yeah, that was
So
cool.
it's covered. Yeah, that's cool. But they do. I mean, I'm assuming budgetary reasons that they probably.
Yeah,
But
and being a stickler for detail, this Predator particularly was more likened to like the weird fisheye looking Predator that we had in Predators
yeah,
than your normal traditional Predator that we got with with the green eyes and the other type of face that you get to see like in Predator 1, Predator 2, Alien versus Predator, with the kind of like paler looking skin a little bit. And I understand they all look a little bit different, but you could tell that they, in my opinion, if you look at the races or the tribes or whatever the predators that are, it was one of those predators from Predators. He didn't look like the Arnold Predator, so to
right.
speak.
The
So
classic Predator, as it were.
yeah, a little bit different, but man, for my money, man, I gave this movie a 5 out of 5. I don't know about
Ouch.
you.
So
You're all ouch.
I have one huge complaint that I have a really hard time getting over with this movie, and that's the fact that it is done in the English is the dialogue is in English. It
Okay.
takes me out of it almost every scene. It's like I really wish they would have just. I mean, I understand it's incredibly difficult to like get enough people that probably can act and can speak like Comanche or whatever the which I believe is the language that they should be speaking.
Right.
Um, God, it just really took me out of the movie, and at the beginning, it took me out of the movie. Like for the first like 40 minutes, I was like, okay. Then eventually, I kind of got used to it or whatever, and kind of wore off. I understand it's like a hang up for me, but man, that really stunk for me.
I
And
believe Dan Trachtenberg said that they are going to release this movie in the Comanche language.
I saw something where someone said that it was dub. There's a Comanche dub, and
Yeah.
I would prefer to watch the dub. I know it's not going to match up. That doesn't bother me. It just took me so out of the film early on. It was hard for me to get back on track. Like after
Right.
talking about it more through here, I definitely enjoyed it more. I was irritated by how she kept getting bailed out at first by the men, but then her story arc kind of goes through, and you're like, okay, well, that's not so bad because like I guess I was expecting the story to be like her just to be this badass like heroine from the start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just a complete badass, and not that she wasn't badass, but she still like made all those little mistakes and like got herself in kind of not great situations. Um,
So what I'm reading here is the film was shot in English and Comanche with the entire cast performing an alternate all Comanche dub of the film. Both language versions are available on Hulu.
oh, see, if I'd known that, I would have watched the Comanche version.
Motherfucker.
So, I'm going to refrain my rating until I watch it with a Comanche. But like my rating beforehand was 2.5 out of 5. But it was
Well,
solely because that took me so out of the film.
Sure.
And
Well,
like we just watched it, so it's like still kind of fresh in my head. So I still needed some time to like digest it. But
did it save a dying franchise?
I think it could have.
Yeah, I think
I
it
think
did.
honestly, I'm gonna say it will, because I see more people talking about this movie already than I've seen them talking about any other Predator movie of all time. Like people I've been friends with for a long time,
Yeah.
that are movie people are really like high on this movie, and it's getting such a good buzz everywhere. I'm not like I said, I'm not trying to be the hater. I just need to digest it, and I need to watch it with the Comanche dub again, and I'm willing to bet that will come back up. The score will come up for me.
Right.
But yeah, so I think it very well could have. And like just the sheer numbers alone that's streaming on Hulu, Hulu's going to put money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, they've
Now
already
you
stated. Yeah, they stated that there's going to be additional installments.
right. That's like their biggest thing they've ever released. That's a Hulu
Sure.
original, because they had a ton of Blumhouse stuff, but none of that stuff really hit. They had a few good ones, but nothing's hit like this for them ever. So of course they're going to go back to the well. Now, will we get another good one? I don't know how many hundreds of years are we going to jump in time this time. I would prefer honestly stick kind of in these older eras and just kind of show the slow evolution of the Predator and do it that way. I think simplicity in taking that approach is probably better than bringing into modern times where we have like every fucking weapon known to man. Like
right.
Well, now you just throw like an EMP and it would destroy everything the Predator had, right? Like it would be done. So
yeah.
So
well,
I think it lends well to stay in an older time period.
So the gun was 1718, and that was the same
year.
That yeah, so that was the gun that was given to Mike Harrigan during the events to Predator 2. A couple of other things that I really liked about this movie, the CGI. Obviously, we were able to CGI animals. I'm not really a big fan of animals getting killed, so there's a really cool wolf scene where a wolf's getting killed, but it's not a real wolf. It's okay.
Yeah, it's not a real bear.
It's cartoon. It's cartoon. Just really good looking cartoon. Gave this movie again a 5 out of 5. Now let's do this real quick before we wrap up, man.
Go for it.
Cue the Predator music. Sound guy. Okay, you got the Predator music going. All right, so we're gonna let's break these movies down, sir. We've gone through our retrospective here, and you got your Predator 87, Predator 90, Predators 2010, Predator 2018, Prey 2022. So you got a good 5 films.
Okay.
How do you break them down?
All right, so we're going to start from 5 and go to 1, or go to 1 to 5?
Let's go from worst to best.
Worst to best. All right, if I'm going to do worst, I think we have to go with The Predator 2018.
Yes.
Not that I don't find it entertaining, it just doesn't fit the bill. Then after that, I would put Predators. And then I would actually put Predator at 2 and Predator 2 at 1. Because I fucking love Predator 2.
Oh, okay.
Then I forgot Prey, didn't I?
Yeah, you forgot Prey.
Okay, so it would be The Predator, Predators, Prey, Predator, then Predator 2.
Ah, okay.
Blasphemy, I know.
No, not blasphemy. I think we're about. I'm with you, but on the last two, I've got. We're gonna do worst to best. We got The Predators, the worst. You got Predators. Then. Foil the Predator 2, and I love that movie. It holds such a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
I saw that in California when I was on vacation, seeing my uncle, which is really cool. So it's like I got to see it, and it's for a desert kid to go to California. But anyways, and it took place in California, so kind of weird. Held a weird place in my heart. Predator first one, 87, top. That's the best, in my opinion. But man, I'm tossed up between Predator 2
and Prey.
I'm gonna go against my own personal grain here, and I'm gonna say Predator 2, Prey, then Predator.
Yeah, let's say you gave Prey 5 out of 5. You probably didn't give Predator 2 5 out of 5. So
No, 4 out of 5. Yeah, that would have been a
Yeah.
4 out of 5.
Yeah.
But goddamn, yeah, that's a tough one because I'm going against everything that I hold near and dear to me from 1990. But that's okay. Because Prey really, I hadn't been that hyped for a movie in a while, which I really enjoyed.
So I would say if we seemed a bit scatterbrained on this one, we literally decided to do this about 5 hours ago.
Who
so.
cares? We knocked it out of the park. What are you talking about? I think
feel
we
like
knocked
we
it out, bro.
I feel like we did a damn good job for this. We're like, yeah, fuck it, let's do this.
Ain't nobody else delivering a Predator retrospective. Dicks. At the last minute, we delivered.
yeah, we were just gonna do Prey and
Some shit movie. All right, man. Well, as always, it's been a pleasure. You guys know where to
Absolutely.
find us. We'll be delivering more episodes to you at least once a month, I hope, from here on out.
Yeah, we should be good now. I think this is the first franchise we've ever done.
Yeah.
Out of almost 100 episodes, this is the first time we covered a whole franchise.
Yeah, and not bad, man. In
Yeah.
record time, and we didn't rush it, and we didn't go through. It was a really good back and forth. You guys know where to follow us. Share this episode. Pimp the shit out of it. We worked really hard on it for 5 minutes before we fucking started recording. All right, man. We'll catch you later.
All
Thanks
right,
for
brother.
recording. We'll see you guys later.
Yep.
As always, thanks for supporting the Cemetery Gates podcast. Talk to you soon.
You've been listening to the Cemetery Gates podcast, featuring Android Virus and Xander Kane. Follow us on Twitter at Android Virus, at Xander_Kane, and at Cemetery Gates 66.